Are you like most sales and other professionals who want to grow their wealth faster than what they are currently doing through their company 401k, even with that company match, the stock market, or just plain saving money? Would you sleep better at night if you had the financial freedom to be job optional in just 3 to 5 years through investing in real assets? Maybe you don't want to stop working, but wouldn't it be cool if you could retire a decade earlier than most? And do the traveling you and your family have planned for years while you're still young and can enjoy it? Let's face it, most busy professionals don't have the time or desire to take on more work outside of their W-2 to grow their wealth. On The Wealth Flow, each week we share the stories, the investments, and take a deep dive into the various asset classes that can deliver that accelerated growth to your portfolio passively. That's right, no extra work for you. Instead, we'll put your money to work. Learn what the 95% aren't talking about and join the top 5% of earners today on The Wealth Flow.
All right, welcome to The Wealth Flow. My guest today is Carrie Friedberg. She is also known as the SF Money Coach and has been teaching individuals, families, and small business owners all over the world how to align their spending, savings, and earning with their values. She is a certified money coach and is a financial behavior specialist with extensive background in education, mindfulness, and personal development. She has been featured by U.S. News, Forbes, New York Post, MarketWatch, and the Oprah Magazine, as well as many other media outlets. Carrie has consulted with Visa, Macy's, SAP, Google, WeWork, and Airbnb, and she has led financial wellness workshops with the University of California, Berkeley, University of San Francisco, and Santa Clara University. Carrie also has some exciting news. She has a book that's actually going to get released tomorrow. By the time this airs, it will have just come out, and it is called At Peace with Money. So, Carrie, I am looking forward to today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Keith. I'm thrilled to be here.
All right. So I love with all my guests to just start with your background, where you grew up and what eventually led you to be this money coach and help people out with their finances.
Okay, well, that's a fantastic place to start. I grew up in the Midwest. I'm from Grosse Pointe, Michigan. And after that, I went to college on the East Coast. But my parents had actually sent me out to California in middle school to attend a tennis camp in Carmel Valley. And that planted the seeds for California living. And I returned to the same camp during college to be a coach there for 9 weeks one summer. And that's when I absolutely fell in love with the Bay Area and made a decision and a plan that somehow, some way after college, I was going to move to San Francisco. So I moved out here back in 1998, and I started my career as a classroom teacher. I always like to share that my first livable wage and yearly salary was $18,000 up in the city. I now live in the suburbs on the peninsula. But that led to second, third, and fourth side hustles, coaching, babysitting, tutoring, leading outdoor education trips, this type of thing in order to make it work because I wanted to enjoy everything that the city had to offer, the food and the music and traveling to Lake Tahoe and all of these other experiences. And therein lied the problem. I didn't have any sense of financial literacy. I had no idea how to manage paycheck or bills. And so that led to credit card debt, but worst of all, stress. And I was overly emotional and very, very anxious about money every day. And it was a bit paralyzing at times, and it affected my self-esteem and relationships. And fortunately, I was living in the city, so people were into said personal development and
Mm-hmm.
self-reflection and increasing consciousness and all of this type of stuff. And so after trying those things, weekend workshops, landmark education, various other meditation courses, I realized there had to be a better way. Like money for me was the final frontier. I needed help. I needed to make big changes. I had no idea where to start. And I tried many different things, reading books, attending webinars, hiring someone off of Craigslist to teach me Quicken, designing my own tracking system. All of these things were good for fits and starts and short periods of time, but I would inevitably go back into the money fog, stick my head in the sand, swipe the card. I thought that was financial freedom. And back in the day when we used to swipe cards, and
Right.
eventually a friend suggested I hire a money coach, and I had no idea what that was. This was back in the day before there were coaches for everything. And they basically said, well, it's a life coach, but the primary topic is your finances. And, but for me, it was the kind of golden ticket or a real emotional turning point because this person taught me the ABCs and one, two, threes of how to be a grown up with money. These are the steps. Here's the low hanging fruit. It's not that hard. You can do it, and provided the emotional support as well around recovering from mixed messages from my parents and regret and guilt I had for mistakes, overcoming shame. There was a lot I had to sift through, I have to confess.
Yeah.
And so what happened is my entire life changed. I was able to negotiate for myself at work and double, triple eventually my salary, stand up for myself. I was able to speak with roommates and romantic partners and other friends about money without crying, and request for people to pay me back. I was a great enabler. Sure, I'll buy the furniture for our apartment. Sure, I'll put the deposit down for the ski lease in Tahoe. I was a yes person. And so I started to rein that in a bit with this coach's help. But most of all, my relationships changed, not to mention the nicer apartment and turning in the beater car. And so the change was so profound, I decided to do the same counselor training program that my own coach had done. And that's how I became certified as a financial coach. And back in 2010, launched a private practice, teaching people what I had discovered inside out as the SF money coach.
Yeah, no, that's great. How about I always like to know, because you mentioned that some of the stuff came from your parents. I mean, from as far as your parents, were you from a middle class family, or what? And what did you learn that was maybe positive or not positive from the parents? And I know that's a lot where a lot of us start, right?
Oh, absolutely. And there's research that suggests we make decisions about money by about the age of 7, which is the classical age of reason. I grew up in a middle, upper class family and neighborhood, quite literally the Ford family, as in the car company. They were
Yeah.
not our next door neighbors, but very nearby. And we were at the schools and the clubs with them and things like that.
Okay. Okay.
I had many, many privileges, private school, vacations, this fledgling tennis career, and a lot of choices. That was the message that my parents made sure all 4 of us kids learned, is that choice is a luxury, and that there are
Yeah.
many people at our church and in other locations just across. It was called the Limits into the city of Detroit. Right across the border, where trees disappeared, and it was a drastically different reality for our neighbors in our greater community. And we were involved with community service and things like that. But I do think, in retrospect, I did kind of grow up in a bubble of sorts.
Yeah.
But my parents. My dad had a very, very strong work ethic. He was a corporate lawyer and worked a ton. like a lot, missed things. He did show up and there was a relationship there, but he was really, really busy. And my mom was a grand spender, and that was their agreement. And she was a homemaker, busy remodeling rooms kind of constantly, one at a time. One always bled into the next, and raising us 4 kids. So there were disagreements and fighting about money on a regular basis.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. And then you've and you made it out to California. What a beautiful area. I love San Francisco, love the Bay Area. We try to get out there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Love Sausalito across the way as well. And so
I know,
anyway.
it's so special. My daughter was born right near there in Marin, and
Okay, yeah.
I know I pinch myself every day. I mean, being able to play tennis and pickleball outside in January
Yeah.
is just 20 years later still pretty mind blowing to me.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. Well, you mentioned, kind of learning from this coach some of the low hanging fruit. And I think a lot of times, people just, it's not something that we're taught. I think there's starting to be a little bit more of that when it comes to education, but certainly back, when we were younger, it just wasn't part of the education. And so you kind of got to learn it yourself. And, unfortunately, sometimes we get that credit card debt racked up before we learn it and kind of have to
Yes.
learn it from that spot. But
Right.
what are some of the low hanging fruits that you've seen, both with yourself and then also with your clients, that can really make a difference?
Number one, the most radical change anyone can make immediately is to stop all credit card use. I
Yeah.
know it's so extreme to think about that. And I practically fainted when somebody suggested that to me. Um, but when you're living on a debit card and out of your checking account, by necessity, you have to remain more connected to your cash flow. You need to pay attention to when bills are due and how much they are this month, not to mention the regular fixed expenses. And you need to really understand how much above and beyond that basic spend you actually have to live on and to shop or eat out or order delivery and any other hotspot area of spending that where people can get into trouble. I mean, it's a slippery slope. Everything is so easy to purchase and order and consume these days. And I needed to stop all credit card use. I was one of those people, a little bit of an addictive personality, who I had to take a couple years off of using credit cards, number one, in order to stabilize the debt and really make a strategic plan for paying them off without continuously digging the hole.
Right.
Continuous credit card use makes it very, very difficult, if not impossible, to really break the cycle. And so eventually, over time, I did reintroduce healthy credit card use, which, in my opinion, looks like paying credit cards off on time in full, not just the statement balance, but zeroing them out every
Yeah.
month at the end of the month in order to contain that month's spending in that month for budgeting and planning purposes and just
Yeah.
accountability, and starting every new month with zero balances on all cards. That's the ideal. And if you're someone that can do that, then it sounds like you've got it dialed. But the moment you carry a balance and get dinged with an interest charge that can be as high as 30% these days, for
Hmm.
1 month, much less 2, 3, or more, or many years, I've seen people carry credit card debt for years and years, and it's just so expensive to keep those accounts open in that agreement. Then you need to make changes.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I can also see how difficult that would be if you're used to,
I know.
used to using them. And but yes, I mean, makes total sense. I mean, at least then you know exactly what your balances are. It's really easy, particularly if you have more than one credit card. And when I say more than one credit card, not just like one for the clothing store or whatever, but like one that you're
Right.
using for various things. And if you have a small business, I mean, sometimes you've got multiple, and it's very difficult, speaking from experience, to not start to look at those and add them up and be like, okay, wait a minute. So it looks like I've only got like a $5,000, amount here, but over here on this other one, here's another X amount. And then, before you know it, you've got this snowball amount of debt. And like you said, that you're getting charged a lot of times, 20, 30% on. So,
right, exactly. I will say the other critical, essential, low-hanging fruit is to have 2 cash savings accounts, and 3 if you're someone that makes quarterly tax payments, or if you wait to make one big tax payment, I would definitely protect that tax savings in its own account, because it's really do not touch money. And
yeah.
a lot of small business owners or people that are self-employed, they get these large payments or paychecks, but that discipline of putting the money aside, 20% or however much an accountant suggests that you sock away, super important. I have made that mistake. I did not manage taxes properly when I was trying to start a tutoring business. It was very expensive, very painful. So please, I want listeners to learn from my mistakes. But the one cash savings account that also changes lives and prevents credit card debt is a periodic expenses savings account. And you may know and be thinking about those things, Keith. It's things like property taxes or moving expenses, special occasions, birthdays, holidays. Some of it is our lifestyle expenses, and some of them are larger bills, tuition or summer camp for the kids that we have to proactively save the cash for in order to avoid putting those things on the credit card when the time comes up. A lot of people get rattled, by car repairs, and then I needed 2 new tires. And it's like, actually, if you're a car owner, that can be anticipated and slowly but surely saved for, because that's part of the deal with cars. They break, things happen. And I recently got a new tire last week myself. So, there's that savings account, and you can actually map out all of your periodic expenses over a given year, and on a kind of calendar driven spreadsheet, and calculate how much your monthly savings goal is. So I feel and believe that that piece of personal finance and cash flow is actually highly controllable, and most people don't know that.
Yeah.
And then I like my clients to have a second cash savings account for a safety net. And that's really an income holding account, income backup. And that's solely and exclusively in case of an interruption of income, like an injury, a sabbatical, maternity, paternity leave. I never used to say pandemic, a layoff, all of these things, needing to take a break, going back to school, elder care needs, all these things that can interrupt income. You have, ideally, the goal for that is 6 months of living expenses set aside in cash. So those, in addition to retirement and long-term savings, that's what provides people with lasting emotional and financial security. And that is doable for most people.
It is. And, kind of having a real estate background, the property taxes, those kinds of things. I mean, for your properties, you're typically going to want to be setting that aside anyway. It's an expense that's going to come up. There's CapEx repairs that we set aside for it. So it's very similar to that in the sense that this is for your own personal finances, but it's knowing that there are going to be those things that are going to come up, and, setting aside that percentage. How do you look at it when you're visiting with your clients? Is it a percentage, or what is typically the best way to structure those types of accounts?
Okay, so I love that question, because I'm actually not a formula person. I know a lot of people are, and it works for them, but every person I've worked with over the course of 15 years has a unique set of circumstances and financial obligations. I know people who are supporting family in other countries. I have clients who they're with their partner, they're targeting paying off a couple $100,000 of student loans. all these different nuanced temporary maybe circumstances. So there's like a time and a season for every financial plan. And so in my work with people, I focus on 1 month at a time, the monthly budget. And sometimes that's incredibly detailed with lots of subcategories. And sometimes the category buckets are larger. There are about 15 core life categories that everybody has. And so it depends how much detail a person or a family needs in order to feel happy, confident, and free in their financial life. But so my answer is I really take it one person, one case at a time, because each year life throws curveballs, new things come up. There's a big anniversary trip we're saving for. It's 2.5 years from now. It can be on the lifestyle pleasure side of things as well. So yeah, I'd need more information.
Yeah. No, makes sense. And that's good to know. Because yes, everybody is unique in that circumstance. And there may be things that temporarily maybe not take precedence, but need to happen in parallel with these accounts that you're setting up. Wealthflow audience, pardon me for a quick interruption to today's show, but I have some exciting news that I want to be sure that all of our listeners are aware of. We just launched 3 totally unique to the market funds that are at the cutting edge of technology and AI. We have combined my 25 years of real estate experience and my recent work as VP of development for a tech company to bring 3 awesome investment options to our audience. For full details, go to our website at bobocapitalventures.com. Again, that is BOBO capitalventures.com. All right, back to the show. So you mentioned 15 core life categories. Can we talk maybe a little bit more about that and kind of how we prepare for those things?
Of course. So let's see if I can list it off at the top of my head. I don't have that handy, but it's home, of course. I mean, you have to start with survival, home and food, shelter and nourishment, right? Home, food, healthcare. And then there's self-care, kids, if relevant, debt, if relevant, transportation, gifts, taxes, insurance, trying to think what else. In my family, my husband and I have a large category called sports. And that's where our health club bill, gets tracked in addition to equipment, like buying new rackets or like lift tickets. We're trying to teach our kids to ski, which is, by the way, a very luxurious sport. But
Right.
we love it. And it's a really, really fun quality way to spend time in nature with our kids. But I'm acknowledging how insanely expensive that is and how lucky I am to get to do it.
Right.
So that's a good sample of the core 15.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. And so kind of, some of the low hanging fruit you mentioned, having at least the 2 savings accounts, potentially a third savings account. What are some other things people can do to start to just put their finances in order and really kind of take charge?
Okay, you need a system. And something I learned from a colleague is that system is actually an acronym for save yourself time, energy, and money. Okay. So everyone needs, there's an app for that, right? You need some kind of system to have regular connection and communication with your finances. And if you're in a partnership, living with, married, whatever the status is, you need to have consistent conversations with that person as well, whether you're partially joint, fully joint, or completely separate with your money. And so those are routines. I want people to think about this as a healthy habit. And actually, good news, it takes less time than it does to exercise properly to take care of your money properly. In the
Yeah.
beginning, it
Yeah.
might be an hour a week. But that's it. Eventually, it'll be 20 minutes once or twice a month. But that's the maintenance phase. Most people, if they don't have an established system, um, the one I'm using these days is Quicken for the Mac. It's very, very good for household personal finances. There's a learning curve. Look, every financial tracking software, Monarch Money is very popular as well. They all tout 5 minutes to set everything up. Sure, that's about 5 minutes to choose a username and get your accounts linked. But
Yeah.
the truth is, in reality, it takes several hours. I'd say more like 5+ hours to learn it, customize, read the help manual, maybe have a phone call with their free customer service. Like, get your spouse or partner's categories in there, organize things, make it in your language, et cetera, et cetera. Deal with all the technology. And so once people draw that line in the sand and make that right turn, choose a system and make this commitment, something might have to give, but they make time and space in their daily or weekly lives to
Hmm.
have a money date or a money session. That's when things can start to change, because it means that you're respecting yourself and your money and treating it more like a high value, dignified client. You bring the sacred in. All of these things are important to having a healthy and sustainable relationship to money. And guess what? We have to face and embrace our finances for the rest of our lives. So we might as well do a good job at it. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not going to serve anyone. You, your loved ones, people that will live beyond you, even your neighbors and coworkers. It's not going to serve anyone to maintain chaos in this area.
Makes sense. Makes sense
Yeah.
for sure. All right. So setting up and kind of, and I guess having some of that software helps with the budgeting as well. I would assume it's going to give you
Hmm.
some of where that money is at least going, tracking it,
Yes.
hopefully putting it into some kind of category, so that you can kind of
Right.
see that. So once you've gotten some type of a budget, whether through one of these apps, you've got kind of the savings set up. What are some other things that people need to consider or be mindful
Hmm.
of when it comes to kind of getting their financial house in order?
Okay. So you mentioned level one, which is tracking. I mean, that's
Okay.
where everyone has to start. You have to know where your money is going. Otherwise, budgeting and creating a spreadsheet and even talking about things is a bit futile because it's not
Hmm.
based in reality and based in numbers. The second level of financial wellness, as you mentioned and already know, is planning and budgeting. So all of that takes time, commitment, honesty, looking in the mirror, patience, an open mind, willingness to learn something new, willingness to face it, even if you commit to just like 90 days of tracking, or we're still in January here, like 1 year of tracking could be super interesting, like a game
Yeah.
or an experiment. Um, so all of that work is wonderful. It's also useless unless you stay connected to your plan,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, and this is the hardest part. Level 3 is analyzing the plan, remaining connected to your money and updating things about once a week, so that you can make adjustments in your spending plan while there's still time. You can have conversations, you can communicate, you can set boundaries with yourself. Oh, it's only the 7th of the month and I'm halfway through my eating out budget. I need that
Right.
information so I can cook at home more. It is like that, right? And
Yeah.
I know I'm giggling a little, but literally, I was not born with a money sense. Like I had to learn this like learning a new language, and it's one step at a time. And The other good news to share, though, is that you only have to be able to do and understand fifth grade math in order to succeed in personal finance. So this is really, really doable for most people. And 75% of Americans don't do this. And that's why there are so many problems with money
For
and
sure.
debt and credit cards and spending. And so analyzing the plan takes a very high level of commitment and consciousness. That's where the hard work is, right? And it's super interesting to be that involved with your money. You can think about it like a garden that takes regular weeding and watering and tuning into the seasons and what's coming up now. And if you act like that, things tend to go more smoothly. You avoid late fees. You are able to maintain a comfortable cushion in your account, and that just feels better. It allows people to sleep better at night. It reduces conflict with important people.
For sure.
Yeah. And then the final commitment in the journey of financial wellness is lifelong financial literacy. So once you get into a good maintenance phase with tracking, planning, analyzing, and it's going and flowing, you've got your savings accounts established, and you're able to maintain those and use them as needed, again, to avoid credit card debt. Then it's about what now? What else can I learn? What other areas of money do I feel weak in? Do I want to strengthen? Oh, you want to buy a house? How about 2 years of reading about real estate, to study and prepare and take a class and take your friends a real estate agent, take them out for dinner, pick their brain, So it is a lot about self education and standing on your own 2 feet and being curious and interested in this area. I know for me, even after really existing so much in this, in the realm of personal finance and just planning 1 year out, et cetera. I know for me, even midlife now, I just turned 50 this year. I still have a lot to learn about investments and investing, that whole world. A little bit of my old financial behaviors, like, I don't understand it. My eyes glaze over. My hearing goes out. I read the first paragraph of an article and then swipe to the next one, like I still do that, I admit. So we all have areas where we might need training, support, help, and education just on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it is funny because you've mentioned a couple times throughout, talking just about the finances. But, this is one of those things that really does affect like all aspects of your life, the relationships and everything. I mean, one of the biggest, reasons that spouses will fight has to do with money. And not being on the same page there, or just kind of having different roles or different philosophies when it comes to money. So
Yes, I write a lot about that in my book because getting engaged, moving in, merging households, merging money. My husband is allergic to money. Okay. He's very avoidant, and I can't do anything about that. It's who he is. It's in his nature. This is kind of one area of our life that I lead and take responsibility for. And I feel really profoundly proud of offering that act of service to our family, because that's not who I was, 20 years ago at all. It was not the train that I was riding on. And so there's a lot there for couples. There's a lot of humor as well. I do think that my book is quite funny. I share a lot about my personal life and adventures and stories, as well as a ton of very colorful anonymous client stories. And so I think anyone would find things they can laugh about, relate to, etc. And Keith, I wanted to share that I wrote a script, a 4-page script about how to talk to your partner about money, because I was having over the years the same conversation with people over and over again. Like, oh, you've been living together for 3 years and you don't know how much your boyfriend makes. Like, that's just fascinating, and there's no shame in it.
Yeah.
Like, I promise I'm a very gentle, loving coach, but so I wrote down for all the phases of relationships, getting to know you.
Yeah.
How much do you earn? How much debt do you have? Who pays your bills? Is it your parents, yourself, your work, et cetera, et cetera? Like, it's fun in this moment to laugh with you about these things, but I
Yeah.
literally had to learn these things from scratch. Someone had to teach them to me, or I experienced enough pain and financial trauma in my life to finally figure it out, that like that's a really important question when you're getting to know someone anyway. And then the moving in process, you need to talk about these things. Family planning, you must talk about these things. And I even threw some other very important topics to be discussed by all couples, because I couldn't help myself, and I think they're really enlightening. Anyway, that's available on my website, and it's definitely in the book.
Okay, no, that's terrific. Sounds like a great tool for sure to be able to help folks. And then, of course, like you said, being able to sleep better at night as well. I mean, it does make a huge difference when you're sitting on a savings account, when you're not living paycheck to paycheck, or getting to where you're redlining and getting super close with finances and things being due, and everything has to fall into line for this to happen this month, kind of thing. Man, what a difference in just your overall well-being and being able to sleep comfortably at night. So tell me, I guess, maybe some other things, some other ways that people can prepare and just work to get things in order. You said you didn't do percentages, and that even with your own finances, you're learning about and getting more involved with maybe the investment side. But how much, or what kind of conversations do you have around investing as well, and being able to grow? Obviously, you can save the money, put it in savings accounts, but what about multiplying it with investments?
Oh, amazing idea. 100%. I want that for myself and all of my clients. I want people to generate passive income and have amazing financial security in their later years. And it's a process, right?
Mm-hmm.
People need to understand what their dreams entail, and then try to orient their current and future spending, saving, and earning around that vision. And so when my clients want to plan for retirement and are curious about these types of things, I always refer them to a certified financial planner or other experts in the field, people that are trained and licensed to help them run various scenarios. If you send your kids to private school, this is going to be the impact. If you send your kids to public school, here's what this will look like in the long run, 10, 20, 40 years down the road. I think you also want to plan for what you're leaving behind. I mean, there's a way that that personal finance and any money conversation in the far back of our brains is about mortality, and what will it look like at the end, and what if anything, and how much do I need and want to leave behind, and all of that. So it's complicated and nuanced. As I've admitted, investing is not my area of expertise, but I want my clients to build out their financial support team. I talk about that in the kind of lifelong financial literacy step. Is you need to have people like you need to have accountants and estate attorneys and sometimes couples therapists to get through these things.
Right.
So all the professional support and there is a lot of affordable professional support out there as well through business bureaus and other nonprofits and foundations. And so I believe there is good support and expert advice available to anyone. And yeah, that's really what I have to say about it. But real estate and other kinds of investments are very smart for the long run. And there's luck involved too. You have to make good decisions. You can't just
Mm-hmm.
make a snap decision and think it's going to work out. You have to tend to it and stay connected and make decisions year by year. How does my portfolio look? Am I meeting my goals? How does money feel on a daily basis? You sort of have to start from the ground up, right?
Yeah.
Am I able to sleep at night? Are we having peaceful, meaningful money conversations? And then you go from there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure. No, and I think, with anything, it really does start with, kind of putting aside the accounts and being able to start to accumulate and save it. And then from there, it can go into investing. But, you made a comment and you mentioned earlier in the show that it's kind of like tending to a garden. And I think that's a good analogy just because, there are going to be spots where, you have to make changes. And if you don't kind of have an eye on it, then very quickly you can look and something can get out of hand, and just not be, accumulating or doing what you're hoping for it to do. So there has to be adjustments, there has to be involvement. And I think, setting up those initial accounts like you had mentioned, I think make a whole lot of good sense.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me a little bit about some of the also some of the programs that you've done, the financial wellness workshops that you've done at like
Uh-huh.
University of California, Berkeley, and some of those.
Uh-huh.
What tell me a little bit, give me a little kind of a snapshot of what that workshop looks like, what all it covers.
Um, I have been beating the same drum for 15 years.
Hmm.
Of course, the
Okay.
messaging and the stories and things like that have changed. But honestly, Keith, it's
Yeah.
what we covered around the low hanging fruit. I'm just on my soapbox. I want people to have this information that feeling secure and successful, happy and confident around money is achievable for anyone. And the changes that people have to make or the adjustments or letting go and this and that is not that drastic. I'm not in the business of cutting and slashing anyone's lifestyle. That's the fear when people maybe
Yeah.
dragged from by their spouse to a session with me, or their adult children and their parents are paying for them to see me, and all these different situations. But it is around healthy credit card use and cash flow management, basic savings and how to calculate goals and make that work, strategic debt repayment,
Mhm.
having a system, maintaining that system, and then the lifelong literacy financial support team piece. And so even for college students, and that was the kind of idea that these financial wellness commissions and other things that hired
Yeah.
me to give those talks. That's what they wanted me to share with the college kids and the recent grads on how to get them launched on their own 2 feet, because it's a vulnerable time. It's a time where I made a lot of um, very expensive, very painful mistakes. And
Yeah. Yeah. Me too.
it's about preventing people from becoming my clients. Right. And that's why I wrote the
Exactly.
book. It's just,
No, that's good. No,
you
it
don't
makes a
want
lot
to
of
end
sense.
up in my office.
That's funny. Yeah, and that's that's neat. It makes sense. And I think even what you led with as a question, the first thing, the first low hanging fruit, and really kind of getting things in order would be to stop using those credit cards for most people.
Step
There's
one.
people,
Yep.
there's listeners out there right now that are hearing that and they're like, "Eesh, that alone is like." It's like what you don't want to hear with diet and exercise,
Yeah, I
It's
know.
like,
I know.
how do you lose weight and get in shape? Oh, you have to take in less calories, than you use.
Yes.
And yeah, it's all the tough stuff. But that truly is a huge one. I think that is probably a tough one mentally, but once you've done it, it really gives you the baseline on where you are financially. And I think that's a huge step. So that was really cool to hear.
Yes, well said. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. So tell me, Carrie, how can people find out more about you if they want to connect, if they've been listening to you and saying, hey, you know what, this sounds exactly what I need. I need to have Carrie as a coach. How can they find out more about you?
The best way to connect with me is through my website, which is SF, as in San Francisco, sfmoneycoach.com. Also, here's my book that's available and would be delivered to you in the next couple of days. Tomorrow is my publication date. I'm super proud and excited. This book has all of the best practices, all of the basic routines, a lot of humor, and hopefully empowerment and inspiration as well. And yeah, that's the best way to reach me.
That's awesome. And so if they go to the website, they have the ability to sign up to purchase the book, or what does that look like?
Sorry. It's available. Thank you. It's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yep, you could do that right from your mobile, and you can contact me about coaching. I also have an online course, which is a huge bang for your buck. It's 25 mini lessons with audio and visual and interactive exercises. It comes with a workbook, and you get a lot of content for the price of one normal coaching session. So that's another option too. If you're the DIY type and you need to know that about yourself, there's no way I could have done an online course to learn this stuff. I needed more hand-holding than that.
I understand. No, that's great. Okay, a couple different options out there for folks. And then I've got a couple more questions that I ask every guest. One would just be any advice you would give somebody who's maybe just starting out in their either savings, financing, wealth building, whatever it may be. Any advice you'd give somebody starting out?
Yes. The number one piece of advice that is free is to find a financial confidant. To find one human being in your life. It could be a friend or a relative or someone in your spiritual community to talk to about money. It's someone who you like, trust, and respect, and will keep your total confidence in the vault, and that your secrets and your confessions and your questions are safe with them. That was something that I was blessed with. My dear friend Allie was my very first financial confidant around age 25, and that set me on this entire path and really opened the door for change and transformation with my money.
That's great. Yeah, great advice. How about a book recommendation? It doesn't have to be, finance or, real estate related. It certainly can be, though. Something you've read that's been impactful.
I love the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. Yeah. She's hysterical. I relate to her because she's a mom and talks about mommying and all the froth that and good stuff that comes with that. But you don't have to be a mom or a parent to relate with this book. The book is about letting other people be who they are and do what they're doing. She shares a terrific story about her high school high school child going to prom, and Mel, the mom, wanted to arrange the reservation at the nice restaurant so they could have special memories and get the photos and do all the things. And her high school child and their group decided to go to a taqueria in their prom clothes. And Mel talks about the crisis that ignited in her brain and in her body. And she was so agitated and so upset. And then she made a decision. Actually, I think her other child said, let them. And it was like a huge emotional turning point for her. And it's a very funny story that we can all relate to, right? Like wanting to get in there and fix and control and direct things and let them. So I think it's a good mantra.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I have not had that recommendation. I have seen it. I've read some of her other books, and they've all been great. That one I have not. So I will put that one on my own list.
Fantastic.
And Carrie, this has been great. I really appreciate you being a guest on The Wealth Flow, and I think we will call it a show. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Keith. Bye-bye.
All right. If you're still here, I assume that you found value in today's show and with the guests we interviewed. Please take a minute to subscribe and to review the show. It really helps. Also, wanted to remind you to check out Bobo Capital Ventures to get the first look at our 3 new cutting edge, first to the market investment opportunities. We have only about 15 spots for each fund for retail investors, and we would love more than anything else to have our audience be part of that group of limited partner investors. Thanks for listening to The Wealth Flow, and have a great day.
Being that you're still here, I trust you found value in this episode. I personally wish I would have known these guests and strategies when I started my wealth creation journey. Go to wealthflow.capital to subscribe to our newsletter. And as a free gift, we will send you our quarterly market report and the top 10 things to look for in an investment opportunity. Take a minute to give our show a rating and review. Help us reach 1 million professionals by subscribing and sharing this episode with someone you know who could also find value in it.